The presentation is called Dimensioning the Public Sacred. I started this research over 3 years ago with Randy Hester. We wrote a book together. Unfortunately, he's unable to be here today. We wrote the book, and it's called Inhabiting the Sacred. This book is meant for the audience of the everyday community member, the citizen that wishes to become an activist in order to preserve or create a sacred place. We define sacred place a little distinctly than you might originally conceive. I'll get into that in 1 second, but I'd like to first say that my thesis itself is a departure from the original audience base of inhabiting the sacred and extending it to how the designer and firstly the design student fits into that process of defending and creating public space. We as students have all these multiple skills that the everyday activist does not have. We have Rhino, we have 3D printing, we also have clay and mapping and etc. All these tools, which is a main point of today's presentation, is discussing these tools and how they might fit in properly into the design process. So let me talk about sacred place briefly. My focus is on the public sacred because I feel that the public sacred is a solution to a lot of the issues of this idea of the ever-increasing privatization that's happening in the world. And the more public spaces that we can feel good about and have, AKA sacred, then it may just help out. So, sacred place we have defined in the book as fulfilling 4 fundamental human needs. First one is the need for certainty, then new experience, reciprocal response, and finally belonging. So applying that to public sacred places, the need for certainty is a place where you can feel secure, feel familiar, and safe. The sort of archetypal example is a church. Your worldviews are confirmed and you have an idea of explaining the otherwise unexplainable. Secondary fundamental human need is the need for new experience. This is the need for adventure, the need to test and challenge your limits. And a public sacred example could be Burning Man, where you certainly push a lot of your previously conceived limits. Next, you have the need for reciprocal response. This is the desire for relationships between you and another. Often it's between you and another person. It can be, however, between you and a plant, you and a pet, you and a landscape, you and a building, you and a city, you and any other entity outside of yourself. Within the public sacred, within the public sacred, parks and other natural areas fit that description rather easily. And finally, you have the need for belonging. This is the need to feel a member of the group, to feel accomplished within that group and recognized for those accomplishments. So for example, if you're a scout leader, what is the scout troop without you? Or if you're the treasurer of some community board. Applying that to the public sacred is perhaps a stadium or a theater or anywhere where you have a group of people organized around a common theme where you can share in the wins and losses and the drama of the moment. I'm focusing on these just briefly in the introduction because the main point of this presentation today isn't to talk about what is the sacred and the public sacred and what is its value, but moreover how to apply, if you wish to design for those things, how a designer can begin to understand their methodology and how to maneuver the design process for those things. Daphne, feel free to come up. Do we want to introduce the reviewers today?
Sure.
Okay, let's see. So starting over here, Daphne just came, Daphne Edwards. Do you just want to each say maybe what your department is or something?
Landscape architecture, graduate of the program, teaching the entry-level studio to undergrads this year.
She just had a review. How did it go?
They were great.
Good. Paz Gutierrez,
Architecture department.
Mark Anderson,
The architecture department.
Caitlin Kranz, also on my committee,
And architecture.
Dana Bunrock,
Architecture.
Chip Sullivan,
Arcane design.
Arcade Design, and Tom Bresch.
Operation, Department of Architecture, and then that fellow with the hat is department too, right?
Tony, oh my goodness, you're sitting back there.
Yeah.
to make it not go on pause. Thanks. Okay, so I think we're ready for the parable. Well, one last point is that I've separated out the 4 fundamental human needs just for illustration purposes, for understanding them. But the ideal public sacred place would be a combination of several of these things together. For example, the community garden can fulfill the need of certainty if you're growing food. It can fulfill the need of new experience if you've never gardened before. It can give you the feeling of reciprocal response because you're giving to the earth and the earth is giving back to you. And finally, the need of belonging. If you're in a community garden, for example, other gardeners, you feel you have a place in the world. So let's get started with the play. Lights, are you guys actors in your place? Great.